Hey everybody, thank you for tuning in again to another great episode here with the Truth in Trucking team. My name is George. I am one of your hosts. I am with HCM Integrity Services. We are a full FMCSA and DOT compliance center. And the other host joins me today, my good buddy, my partner in crime, Harold Cutler with Untouchable Trucking Insurance. And today we are going to be talking about a few things we're going to try to put together in this episode.
Talk a little bit about what's happening with the MC number. Are we going to one number, which was supposed to be done already? It's not done yet. The other thing we're going to talk about, you need IRP plates for a box truck.
Yeah.
So
in hotshot trucks too.
And hotshot trucks too as well. So this is we're going to let George speak a little bit, and I'm going to we're going to do question and answer. He's going to fill us in. This is more in his area of business.
Yep.
So let's go, George. So what do you got to say, George? Tell us about what's happening with the MC.
Well, so there's a lot of talk going on that the MC number was going to be removed October 1st. Well, here we are, October 16th. Not sure if this is when this episode is going to be uploaded, but today's October 16th. And there is no change. I mean, MC number is still there. I'm sure a bunch of you are having brokers ask for the MC number when you're going to do a load with them. So as of right now, nothing has happened. Nothing has changed as we are speaking. I'm not sure if maybe things might change when you see this episode, but in any case, the MC number is still there. And what the talk is, or what they are planning on doing, or what has been proposed, is that they remove the MC number and just use the DOT number. However, that's the only thing that would change, is that you won't have an MC number, but you will still need to have the operating authority that MC number has, depending on what type of operation you got. Whether you're a motor common carrier, you need that operating authority, or a motor contract carrier, you need that operating authority. A freight broker, freight forwarder, that type of, what type of authority you have. So under the DOT number is going to have, the DOT number is going to be like an umbrella. Under that umbrella is where you will have what types of operating authority that you have, if you have any. Some are not going to need operating authority. For example, the ones that are intrastate local will not need an operating authority. So you would have the DOT number, and underneath that it'll say operating authority not active.
Reject on that a little bit. So yeah, you don't need an operating authority number even today if you're just working inside the state, whatever state you're working in. The thing we want to say is, though, there are some vendors that you gotta carry for, like you're doing work for the federal government, or you're doing work for Amazon. They will require you to have an MC number, because even though you may not go out of state, you may end up going out of state. They don't want to have to worry about that. But go ahead, George.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. So considering if you're going to be doing business with Amazon or other companies that may require you have an MC number, even though you're local intrastate, and the reason most of the time would be from what I heard, and I could be wrong, and if anyone knows better than me, please leave that in the comments. But from what I understand, Amazon is doing that because if it's more of a insurance thing, they want to make sure that you do have that liability, or that amount of liability that the FMCSA requires for you to have in order to have an MC number, regardless if you're intrastate or interstate. So I that's what I've heard. I could be wrong, but that's what
I've jacked on that again too. And I'm not the depending on what you're hauling, determines what you need to have for auto liability coverage. If you're just doing general freight, just everyday stuff, you only need a $750,000. But it isn't the FMCSA that's dictating that to you. It is the people that you are hauling for is dictating that they want you to have $1 million. So just because you're just doing general freight doesn't mean you don't need the $1 million if you don't want to work. So if you want to work, most likely you gotta get the $1 million. And there's one state that I'm aware of right now. I don't know if any other states are doing it yet, but the other state, which is New Jersey, New Jersey requires you to have $1.5 million if you're operating in that state, or if your garaging address is in that state.
Yeah.
And that's put a big hammer on a lot of people in New Jersey. I feel sorry for them, but that's what that state's designed. And don't be surprised that the rest of the states don't follow later on.
Yeah, and that's not to discourage you. That's just what's happening. But we will be able to help or provide some sort of solution. So, being Jersey's my that's where I'm from. So, got to take care. Got to take care of the Garden State, man. But yeah, so with that said, the MC number, when they do get around to removing it, if they remove it, again, it's been proposed. And you can get this information from the FMCSA site. I know you're going to see a lot of other journalists or articles or these magazines or whatever. And, unfortunately, sometimes they kind of over exaggerate or take things a little out of context and kind of, I don't know, I guess to grab attention. Not sure what's behind all that stuff. But anyway, a lot of it's just not accurate. And they have made it where there are people on social media say, hey, there's no more MC number. You don't need an MC number no more. And they think that, now they don't need to have operating authority or they need to pay the fee. No, everything is going to stay the same, guys. You're going to have to pay the same fees. You're going to need to go through the same process. You're going to have to apply for operating authority. You're going to have to pay for it. The only difference is you're not going to get an MC number. It's going to be tied to your DOT number. Now, with the interstate thing is, like I was saying, if you're not working with Amazon or any other of those companies, then you're not going to be required to get the operating authority MC number. Your DOT number will say it's active. Operating authority will say that it's not active. I'm sure they're going to probably change the way it looks and the wording that they're going to use once that is official. But I'm just giving you that example for the interstate guys. Now, there are private carriers who do interstate, that cross state lines, and they are not, how can I say this? Per the DOT, they're not for hire, but they're also not required to have the liability insurance on file with the FMCSA. Now, they are going to get it because they're crossing state lines as a trucking company. When they talk to their insurance guy and they tell them, hey man, we're a private, not for hire, however, we're crossing state lines, you're going to, the insurance companies are going to give them probably the same insurance.
Let's talk about insurance companies for a minute. A lot of companies now aren't even, and I spoke to it earlier, is that they're not even selling the $750 anymore. They're just selling $1 million because it's almost a moot point for someone to get just the $750. So they're using the $1 million as a baseline. Some companies, not all companies are doing it. There are companies you can still buy the $750 for. But again, it all depends on, insurance is about what kind of risk you're willing to take. So of course, the more coverage you have, the better off you're going to be. That being said, because then you don't have to come out of pocket if you exceed that $1 million. And I think in today's world, the way lawsuits are going on, attorneys and everybody's doing it, and I know the truck drivers are like targets for unscrupulous people who are trying to scam the truck driver's insurance. You got to just be aware of that, and there's other things, and we'll talk about that in another podcast, but you just got to be aware of that and be a good driver, and you're aware of all your surroundings, who's driving. I've heard horror stories of guys get in trouble because someone is just trying to make a claim under $1 million.
And you're going to have a situation.
Yeah. And so, special alert here. What I just said about applying for your DOT or your operating authority and putting private, some people, everyone's always trying to figure out the little shortcut or the little, hey, how do I get around having insurance, but being able to cross state lines and get my apportion place. Well, some people have thought that it was a good idea to register as a private entity, which wouldn't require the FMCSA to require them to have that insurance on file, but it will allow them to have an active DOT, which will allow them to travel between state lines because they put private. And so they thought by doing that, they can kind of, jump over the hoop and not get insurance, or at least get the insurance that the FMCSA requires with the liability. And then what happens is they go ahead and get their plates for their truck because the states, all they need is an active DOT number or an active operating authority. Okay. And if they're private, it'll show active and they'll issue them the plates. The problem is,
you're still subject to inspections.
that's right.
Still subject to weigh stations. So you still got that responsibility. And the last thing you want to do is have a DOT officer check your manifest to see what you're carrying and find out that you are actually carrying for hire.
I don't even know what the fines are for misrepresenting that.
Well, everyone gets caught on doing that, okay? The minute they start hitting that road and start going out there, they will get stopped. The DOT will see, hey, wait a minute, you're a private entity and you picked up you picked up a load from these guys down the street that are known shippers for this type of this. Do you own that product? Is that yours? No. So don't fall for that. Don't let people talk you into or say, oh yeah, man, there's a way around that. This is what you do. Don't do that, guys. You're going to fall victim. You're going to, before you even start, you're going to end up closing your doors before you even start to seeing the benefit of this industry, the money you can make, because it all boils down to getting started the right way and making sure you're doing things the way they need to be done, because that is what's going to help you to be successful. Granted, first 6 months are very difficult. Just like with any business, it's going to be difficult getting business because you're a new entity. A lot of brokers won't work with you. If you need help, you need a list of brokers that do. We do have a list we can provide you. You can reach out to them. There are some that will work with you. But as soon as you get over that 6-month hump or even the year, things will start getting better. But you need to make sure you start off the right way. You have a great insurance partner or team member, and you have a great compliance company or team member that's going to make sure that you're doing things the way you need to, because after that first year and you renew, guess what? Harold's going to come and say, all right, what's your DOT? He's going to check it. He's going to see if there's any violations. He's going to see if there's any issues. And that right there, my friends, is why you hear people always crying, oh my God, my insurance went so high. I can't afford my insurance. It's because they, during their first year, weren't doing things the way they needed to do. They got violations, they got stopped, and unfortunately, the insurance companies are gonna know what's happening, and they're gonna use that. So
I actually, to give you, we're going to talk about box trucks in a second. I had a gentleman that had a box truck. He said that and let some other guy use the DOT number, right? He got violated. Then when his renewal came up, his insurance went up almost $3,000 from the year before. It's just because of the violations that other guy caused, which he didn't make any money, right? And he let a guy want his DOT number, which really didn't have anything to do with the guy. And I actually know this other person because he was a customer of mine, and he didn't pay his premiums and got in trouble as well too. So those kind of things, don't try to beat around the bush. Do the right thing And I guarantee if you do the right thing, you'll make money. I got guys that only have a couple years. Where I was just talking to George today about somebody, and that guy's been in business for 3 years and he's making money. So you can make money in this industry. You just got to do the right thing. And we want to make sure you're doing the right thing. That's why you have myself, you got George, we have a factoring company we can refer you to that doesn't require you to have contracts, which, and doesn't charge you back on certain items, especially if they approve the load. So there's a lot of things we have here. We have a dispatcher that we're working with right now that works with a lot of guys, who works with hot shots as well too. So we have all ends of coverage for you that we're looking out for you. And we want to, and these are people that we've met through the years just because we're very familiar with them and we know how they do business. And we only want to do business with people who are going to take care of you and treat you like the people that you deserve to be like. As far as I'm concerned and George is concerned, trucking industry is the backbone of this country. When you kill that, you're going to kill the economy of the United States.
Yeah, definitely. So I wanted to get back to you guys on the whole DOT MC number, what's going to happen. So because it's just a proposal and they proposed it and they're just waiting for that to actually be finalized, there's a couple questions. So if they do stop issuing MC numbers, will existing MC numbers be replaced by DOT numbers? So the answer to that is no. Those who have MC numbers or existing MC numbers, it's not going to be replaced by the DOT number. They're going to go ahead and they're going to still keep the DOT and MC number that's attached to their name or their company. Anyone going forward after that will be issued only a DOT number, and under that DOT number, there will be suffixes that will identify what type of operating authority they have. The other thing too, when it comes to freight forwarders and brokers, they will only get DOT numbers. Now, all this information you can get from the FMCSA. What I'm telling you is coming straight from them. And that's probably where I would fact check and just get the information, because you're going to see and hear a lot of other things. And from what I've seen and heard from these journalist sites and blogs or whatever, I haven't seen any of them mention this. And this is what's pretty much going to happen. So, DOT numbers will be assigned to brokers, freight forwarders, motor carriers who operate non-commercial motor vehicles and did not already hold a DOT number. The MC numbers were only assigned at that time for those type of authorities, but now they will be getting the just the DOT number. So that's now they're gonna begin to assign those DOT numbers to brokers, freight forwarders, and motor carriers again who are not commercial. And so that's pretty much what's happening, and it's probably more for those freight forwarders and brokers, the ones that are probably going to they're going to replace the MC number with the DOT number for those brokers and freight forwarders that don't have one already, right? So you can read more about it on here. We'll leave the link to where we're seeing this at in the FMCSA, but you could find it too yourself. And sorry, Harold, did you have something?
Okay, I just want to mention a couple things that, first of all, the government is not known for their swift movement. And as you know, if you've got any time under your belt or any age, you understand what I'm talking about. The second thing is, and I brought, George and I was talking about this, since they were going to change or remove the MC number, you got to realize there's been a new administration that's come into play. So there's a new Department of Secretary of Transportation there now too. So he, may not be in a rush to do that. So those kind of things that is the reason why you're not seeing the DOT or the FMCSA, moving so quickly, because they're looking at it a different way than the previous administration has looked at it. And the last thing is, I want just to bring a little history out. If you ever notice some of these moving carriers, you ever seen those, George? They have an ICC number. You ever see it?
What?
See the ICC number?
The ISS now?
ICC.
Yeah.
You see a lot of, what you usually see is a lot of movers, major movers, still carrying an ICC number because they just want to show their age and how long they've been in the business. The ICC number is your new MC number, and ICC is interstate commercial carrier. That's what that stands for. So don't be confused by that either as well.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, because that's an old school acronym. Yeah, that's I kind of forgot about that, man. Yeah, because you still see that. Yeah, no. Well, then, and some guys are like, "Hey, what about my ICC number?" I'm like, "ICC? What do you mean? What do you mean ICC number?" Yeah, so, yeah, that's an old school legacy. They call it Legacy Interstate Commerce Commission MC number, used to identify commercial motor carriers that operate between states. Yeah, that's old school, man. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, man, because some people get confused, and you see that. Yeah, which is good though, because if you see it, you know they've been around for a while.
Well, they leave it like that on purpose just to show that they're a very established carrier, and they want to show everybody that they are an established carrier.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So that's the thing, guys. Right now, that nothing has been set in stone with the removal of the MC numbers. They probably, what they're going to do is when it does finalize, they're just going to phase them out. Is what's going to happen. Those who already have MC numbers, you're going to keep them. Those, going forward, anyone getting authority is probably just going to get the DOT number again with the suffix underneath. But any more clarification, you can find that. We'll leave a link to the FMCSA. You can find that there. Let's jump into the IRP plates, portion plates, or IFTA stickers and licenses. There's been a lot of confusion going on with box trucks, hot shots that are under 26,000 pounds or only have 2 axles. They don't have the 3 axle, which would mandatory. You would need to have a portion plates or IFTA. So what's happening is there's a lot of people out there telling you don't need it, and then some telling you do need it, and then nobody wants to believe nobody trusts nobody, and then you got guys running out there who may get a ticket, may not get a ticket, and I'm just going to break it down to you, and we're going to be transparent. You can find all this information. JJ Keller, they're one of the old school OG guys out there. A lot of respect to them. They have actually an article that speaks about the weight restrictions that certain states have, because not all states have the same weight restrictions. So that right there is why some people will tell you, regardless of the weight or how many axles you have, like box trucks and hot shots, that you will need to get a portion plate or an IFTA sticker. And usually when they're telling you that, if someone's telling you that, it's because they are assuming or thinking that you're going to be traveling all around the country, going, West Coast to East Coast. And in that case, it is highly recommended that you get a portion plates and even an IFTA sticker. Why? Because the main states that have the different weight restrictions are going to be Arizona, California, and let's see, I think New Mexico might be one of those. Yeah, so Arizona, California, Mexico. There may be other states out there. There's not that many, but there are states out there in the country that have different weight restrictions. So because of that, if you're in a box truck or a hot shot and you're under 26,000 pounds and you're traveling New Mexico, Arizona, California, guess what? They're going to make you pay for a trip permit or a fuel permit, a trip permit, or both to go through that state. Depending on the DOT officer you get, he may even give you a ticket for not having a portion plates. The reason we have our box truck customers that come to us for a portion plates is because they were given a big ticket, and I'm talking $1,500, $1,600, sometimes even more, for not having a portion plates, usually over there in Arizona. But it could happen in any of those 3 states that we mentioned. So if you get the trip permits and the fuel permits, if you go to those states, you say, hey, I don't go there a lot, I'm just going to purchase them when I go, that's fine. But some of those states do have a limit on how many trip permits you can get per year, and then they're going to make you have to get or have to have a portion plates, or you can't go through that state. So for that reason, you're going to hear a lot of people say just get a portion plates. Now, me, if it's me and I have a box truck or hot shot company and I am going,
I just want to bring a point up, and I was just thinking about what George was saying here about these permits. Listen, if you're going to, let's say, the southern part of the United States, and you're going to California, and you're taking that I-10 all the way across, guess what? You might have to go through Mexico, New Mexico, what was the other one? Mexico, Arizona, and California. So you're going to need permits for each one of those states.
yep.
Not just California, because you're going to California. You need one for each state. So you want to be aware of that, because you don't want to get nailed with that. And if you have to get $1,500 per each state, that's $4,500. You just lost your load, you lost your money and everything.
That's right. And remember, it's not a permit that you can just get it and all right, I'm going to get the permit so when I come back. No, you have to get round trip permits. That's the other thing. Some people say, "Oh, I got my trip permit. It's going to allow me to leave and come back in." No, it's only going to allow you to go through. You have to get a round trip, so that gets costly, you know. So keep that in mind and make sure that the load's paying enough for you to pay for those permits. Now, if not, man, that's why a lot of people just say get the apportion plates. Now, if it's me and I got in a company and I'm going state, I would definitely get apportion plates and an IFTA. Getting an IFTA, what happens is you're going to have to file those fuel taxes every quarter. If you guys need help with that, my company, ACM Integrity Services, we are a full compliance center. We do apportion plates and IFTA. We can help you get those if you need it. In any case, so I would do it if it was me. If I'm investing in, I have a box truck company, hot shot companies, and we are going, hey, we're out here to make money. We're hustlers. We're going to go everywhere, anywhere that pays, then definitely I'm getting a portion place. Now, if you are just, hey, look, man, I'm just staying here in the Southeast, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Louisiana. I'm probably going to go as far as Texas, maybe. Maybe not so much going up to the Northeast. If you're just going to a few states in the Southeast, then, maybe you don't need it. You'll be fine without a portion place or IFTA. Now, other folks get it just for peace of mind. They don't have to worry about maybe one day they have to go somewhere. Oh, guess what? Now we got to get the permit. So that's why you're getting a lot of conflicted information. I don't think either one is wrong. Just depends on what type of operation you're doing. If you're going all around, you're out there hustling, you chase the money, then definitely get apportion plates and IFTA stickers. That's if you're going all around the country, state to state, West Coast, East Coast, that type of stuff. Now, if you're just a few states, if you're in the Midwest and you're just up there, you're never going to get out of there, that's fine. Maybe you don't need it. That's up to you. That's a decision you need to make as a business owner. But that's that. I'm giving that information out there so you have it. So you know why some say you need it and some say you don't, and why and what the reasons are of why you should have it. And then the decision is yours. Again, you need help, reach out to us. We'll let you know. And that's the thing with the apportion plates. One more thing I wanted to interject. I don't know how long I forgot to put the timer. But anyway, there's talk now of of some legislation or bill trying to get passed to raise the liability to $2 million from $750 to $2 million. And I have seen people that we know out there in social media, as always, alerting people and kind of scaring everybody, and oh my God, the 2 million and all it. Listen,
Actually, not to interrupt you, but I can't remember it's either a senator or a congressman, I think out of the state of Pennsylvania, who has been trying to get the liability raised for the trucking industry. I've heard $2 million. I've heard up to $5 million. It's out there. It's moving around. You hear about it. No one's done anything about it. But the sad thing about the whole thing on that particular situation, it's going to affect you. And if you put things on a risk point of view, as I look at things a little bit differently than George does. But if you think about today, what $1 million will get you, for a 10-car pileup, it doesn't get you very much now. So if you got a 10-car pileup, you might, and if there's a major accident as a result of it, and each one of us is going to go at $100,000, there's your $1 million. Well, what if someone's a major injury, which is life, which, handicaps you for the rest of their life? You're going to open up that even bigger. I mean, so the problem is, and I hate to say it, if there's not enough money in the kitty, let's say your auto liabilities, they're gonna come back and sue you. And if you're a major insurance company, they're gonna sue you for even more money. So those are the things you gotta keep aware of. Keep your speed down. Be aware of your surroundings. We had a customer that was speeding during a wet morning, and thank God there was no one there, and they rolled a truck. So those are the things you want to be aware of. Be aware of your surroundings, because the weather conditions, all that stuff, and especially with winter's coming in. If it's too bad to drive, don't drive. I mean, I know I'm telling you it's your money, it's how you make money, but sometimes it's not worth it. It's not worth you the liability, because once you get that claim, you get $1 million claim, you're going to have a hard time getting insurance. I can get it, but you're going to pay for it.
Yeah. Going back to Jersey, didn't you say Jersey, did they increase their liability requirement?
New Jersey increased on the state level
1.5, right?
1.5.
Yeah, I'm seeing that here, yeah.
And they did that a while back. So anybody who's in Jersey, everybody runs to New York now or tries to stay outside of New Jersey or whatever. But it does add quite a bit. I've had a couple of customers come to me and wanted me to get insurance for them. And, they said, well, you know what? I have one guy who is actually operating a salvage yard. He uses truck. The truck was old. And this is another thing that maybe we should have another topic about. What is the insurance company looking for now when you get insured? They don't want to see trucks 30 years old. They don't want to see trucks 20 years old anymore. They don't want to see old trailers. They don't want to see refrigeration units over 20 years, 15 years old, some of them even 10. So those things all are coming more and more into view, because, they don't want you driving old equipment. Now, listen, I know there's a bunch of old guys there that drive their old Peterbilts, and those Peterbilts, you can't kill them, and they're reliable and all that stuff. And sometimes they're even more reliable than some of the newer trucks, especially with all the electronics and everything on it. But let me tell you something. The insurance company doesn't care. They're looking at the overall about everybody. Now, if you got an old truck and you're not taking care of it, that truck's not going to last long, and you're going to be a hazard on the road. So those are things, and if your truck doesn't look pretty or doesn't look clean, and you're going to get inspected. You're going to be like zeroed in. And if you got a high ISS score, you're going to get inspected every time you come into a weigh station. And if you try to avoid the weigh stations, guess what? They're going to go back and write you a bad ticket for that too as well.
Yeah, it's pretty, it's something else, man. What's happening out there with the insurance. So, I mean, let's just face it. If you're a small outfit, it's, raising that up. Listen, everyone in this industry, factoring companies, insurance companies, whatever you do, and brokers, listen, you're shooting yourself in the foot if you're supporting this. Now, why I say it, I think what Harold brought up was a good point. $1 million is, at this time and age, is really not, I mean, it's just not, it's a lot of money for me. I don't, $1 million is a lot of money for me. But in the eyes of when there's claims and lawsuits and stuff like that, catastrophic accidents, I'm talking about deaths and stuff like that, it may not be enough to supplement whatever, the lawsuit is, or what the damage has been done. So I get that part. But the fact is, if it raises to that, I mean, listen, a lot of people are not going to get in the business. It's just not going to be feasible. And if a lot of people are not getting in the business, if we deter new investors, people who entrepreneurs from getting into the trucking business. If there's no new authorities, no new truckers, no new carriers, then the majority of you brokers, the majority of you factoring companies, the majority of you insurance, smaller insurance companies. I'm not talking about the Progressives and the Geicos and all that stuff. I'm talking about you small guys out there who are just trying to make it too, like the rest of us. We're all going to be kind of suffering because no new authorities, no new carriers. That means no new business. And unless you got a really good book of business, or you got some pretty big guys out there who are self-sufficient, or even or self-insured. Well, if they're self-insured, you're not, as an insurance company, you're not, they're not your customer. So be very careful. We're treading on what's that? Treading on a thin line here, because you raise that up, you're gonna kill the small guys. You're gonna kill people from coming in. It's not gonna be feasible for them. And if you do that, we're all shooting ourselves in the foot. So kind of supporting that, I can't support it, only because I know the damage it's going to do to the industry. The only ones who are going to reap the benefit are those mega carriers and mega brokers who have self-insured, who don't need to worry about that. And they're going to, guess what? If they're the only ones around, then you brokers out there who are not these mega brokers, you're going to suffer as well, because you think those mega carriers are going to say, oh man, yeah, we'll give you a break on the rate. No, their rates are going to go up. That's all that's going to happen, man.
If you're all going to the grocery store, you can all see how expensive things are getting. Beef, for instance, has doubled in the last year and a half, 2 years, what it originally was. That's a lot of that's because of shipping and, of course, the cost. We won't get into politics on that stuff, but there's a few things that are involved with that depositors in any grocery store. So, or even clothing store, right? You're paying more money than you ever paid before, So, it's important for everybody to do their bit. Whether you're just one guy and there's another guy over here, if you keep doing your bit, and we got enough people doing their bit, not breaking the law, not speeding, keeping the trucks up. I know it can be tough sometimes, and like George and I have said, in the first year of your trucking industry, it's tough. Just think of it as a high school. Remember when you went to high school and you were a freshman going to school, you were the bottom of the pile. You didn't have no clout and no nothing unless you knew a senior, right? And then you start working your way up. Once you become a senior, that's when you get all the frills and the accolades that go along with that. That's where you start getting paid. You got to get to that point. The other thing you want to make sure is, again, I've said this 100 times, do not let your MC number or your authority lapse. If you let your authority lapse, and depending on the carrier, they will bust you right down to a freshman all over again. You got to start all over again. You don't want to do that.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens, guys. I think I'm trying to find information. We'll find it. We'll put links there. Those of you, please give your opinions. If you think this is just gonna hurt the business and kill it off. I mean, the only ones that are going to be left are going to be the big guys, and it seems like they're probably the ones in the background, moving things around to make this possible. Because if they're the only ones that are going to be around, then they're going to reap from the benefits, and they're just going to kill the small business. And those of you who got 30 trucks or more, 100 trucks, 200 trucks, unless you're self-insuring, which you should be self-insuring at that point. If not, guys, you're going to be affected too. Even if you do self-insure, think about it. If they put the 2 million in place, they stop new people from coming in. There's no new business. Brokers and carriers alike are going to start folding. If the only guys around are the big guys, you can also suffer the blow of what that is going to create, even though you have 100, 200 trucks and you're self-insured. Because now the only ones available are the big guys, and they're the ones that are going to manipulate now the market. They're going to say what this pays and what that doesn't pay. So it could affect you too. But I love to hear everyone's opinion about it and what they think about it, and if they support it or don't support it. Please leave your comments below. And I think
Many other things, I think we covered the subject pretty well. We We gave you the reasons why you may need IRP plates. Again, it's going to depend on where you're driving through, what you're driving through. Just be aware of that, because if we don't tell you about this, either if George doesn't tell you and you bring you up to date on, we had a common customer, he goes to California all the time. And all his buddies said, "Oh, you don't need that." In fact, he had a FMCSA inspector say, "You don't need that either as well." And we had state trooper tell him he doesn't need that sticker as well. But he's not driving through those states. State troopers just working in one state.
Yeah. So apparently the House, or there's a bill that's passed for that requirement. But as of right now, it's still at the 750. Nothing has been changed. The requirement has not been finalized or signed into law. Again, I'm getting this from the good old internet, so it could be wrong because AI and internet is not 100%. But please, anyone that knows a little bit more, has more information, leave that below. Leave a link. We'll leave links of what we find here, so you can look at it too and fact check stuff. But hey, that was the discussion and what we've been seeing a lot out there. So if you have any questions, any concerns, any suggestions, leave it below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Again, I'm George with HCM Integrity Services. We are a full FMCSA and DOT compliance center. This is my co-host here, Harold Cutler with Untouchable Trucking Insurance. If you guys need insurance quotes, you need some advice, you need some help determining on what you want to do, we can help you out. We're not only insurance or compliance, we have a good team of network out there. We have dispatch services, good dispatch services, not these ones that you call and they're not even from here. And, I don't want to get into that. Not those guys that are making it bad and double brokering and doing things they shouldn't do. We got valid dispatch services that do their job correctly, do it the right way. We got factoring companies, our buddy Ed, right? Edward Trujillo, shout out to him. We got Felicia, who also helps. Shout out to her. We have a good team of people that can help you start your business and help you set it up for success. And if you've already been in business for some time and you need to clean it up, get it straight, contact us. We have a team here that we are trying to we're trying to help, and we are trying to get those voices, your voices out there and heard, so we can all make trucking great again. So
on that note, we want to thank you again. If you want any comments, put them down below. We look forward to hearing from you. You have a great day. We'll talk with you later.
well, that's a big 10-4.